Alright, Biblical DNA here, and today we have a genetic probe into the ancient and medieval history of Southern Europe and West Asia. Now, what I did, y'all, is I took all the samples that was available for me in the Excel spreadsheet, got their G25 coordinates. So I got their sample ID number, ran it in Vahaduo, and I basically got a source population admixture of these individuals. Now, they did do it in the Excel spreadsheet, which I will also show, but I wanted to show more samples than what they did because they only used Caucasus hunter-gatherer, Eastern hunter-gatherer, Northwest Turkish Neolithic farmer, and what was the other one? I think it was one second. It was Serbian hunter-gatherer. So let's go ahead and get to it. I have the part that I'm going to go ahead and read showing this paper, and this is not more to do with the Bible really. This is more like people arguing about the concept of pale skin and whatnot, where it comes from, and people have a hard time understanding, like, oh, where did pale skin people come from? You know, they always run to um that narrative. So I want to go ahead and just point this out, and we can see exactly what it says in this paper. So without further ado,
Populations of the Southern Arc focuses on ancestry, but it also illuminates other aspects of biology. Superficial phenotypes, such as Our survey of populations of the Southern Arc focuses on ancestry, but it also illuminates other aspects of biology. Superficial phenotypes, such as pigmentation, were remarked upon by ancient writers. We carried out a survey of predicted pigmentation and other phenotypes of West Eurasian populations across time. Supplementary Text S1 and Figure 6. 17. To discover the extent to which ancient authors' perceptions, based on direct observation or through accounts of faraway peoples, might correspond to the genetic inference of their appearances. 40. We find that the modal phenotype of eye, skin, and hair pigmentation in ancient West Eurasians was brown-eyed, of intermediate complexion, and brown hair.
go ahead. Even among the Yemenaya. Guess this thing ain't gonna work. I always try to use it, but it just does not seem to want to work for me. All right. Come on. All right. Anyways, try to get it to work, but even among Yemenaya, steppe pastoralists, um, contradicting his stereotypical characterizations of steppe peoples as blue-eyed, pale-skinned, and light-haired. Note that when we use characterizations such as intermediate of the continuous skin tone phenotype, we refer to the scheme adopted by H. Ayres Plex-S. In that scheme, intermediate skin tones are commonly found in present-day Mediterranean populations and pale ones in present-day Northern European ones. A general depigmentation trend can be seen across time, with a reduction of black hair and darker skin tones, accompanying the increase of brown hair and intermediate skin tones. However, inhabitants of the Southern Arc had significantly darker skin pigmentation on average than those of the North, defined as Europe outside the Southern Arc and the Eurasian steppe over all periods, which provides support for the identification by ancient writers of light pigmentations phenotypes as being more common in some groups of the north, such as the Celts and the Scythians. Another contrast, or Ashkenazi, that's who the Scythians are. Another contrast made by ancient writers was with people of Africa, such as Egyptians and Ethiopians, who were said to be of darker skin pigmentation. A comparison of people of the southern arc with their southern neighbors will become possibly when genomic data from people living south of the Mediterranean become available. When examining composite pigmentation phenotypes, we observe that although average pigmentation did differentiate between populations of the southern arc and the north, light phenotypes were found in both areas at similar early dates, growing in parallel in the more recent millennia of history. Light pigmentation in West Eurasia was the result of selection across time, which continued into the historical period, and not of the survival of supposed ancient Indo-European phenotypes, as some 19th and 20th century writers suppose, or the product of the direct influence of climate that some Greco-Roman writers hypothesized to explain patterns they observed during their own time. The malleability means the capability of being shaped or extended by hammers, forging, of of other metals, right? Of human phenotypes across time and the presence of diverse ones, whether dark, light, or intermediate, across space, undermine prejudice views of history that emphasize superficial traits at the expense of the more meaningful aspects of human culture and biology. All right. And important to see here is we see that pigmentation of pale skin comes in around 10,000 years ago. So this is at the time of the Neolithic going into the Chalcolithic. We see a bump in the Chalcolithic. And this period is when farmers started becoming they started migrating into Europe, right? So all these farmers from the Middle East, from Mesopotamia, they start migrating into Europe. And we're going to see that with the DNA or with the admixture in G25. All right, so let me see if I can make sure that this is good. I want y'all to see it zoomed in. See it on that side looks good. About now, scroll a little bit more, and that looks good. Could blow it up just a little bit more for y'all. Perfect. All right. So we see they have an admixture of Farmers Balkans Neolithic, 32.2%. Farmers Iberia Neolithic, 16%. East Asia Neolithic, 12%. Steppe Neolithic, 12%. Southeast Asia, 8%. East Africa, 7.8%. Dravidian Bronze Age, 7.4%. Southeast Africa, 4%. Right? Bulgaria, this is a Neolithic sample. Farmers Barson, Neolithic. And remember, this is the Northwest Turkey Neolithic farmer, 26.2%. Farmers Iberia Neolithic, 17.8%. East Africa, 12.2%. East Asian Neolithic, 12%. Dravidian Bronze Age, 8.2%. Farmers Balkans Neolithic, 7.8%. Steppe Eneolithic, 6.8%. And you're going to start seeing a trend that all these ancient samples, according to the PCA, are farmers. They're going to have a farmer's admixture from the Neolithic time. All right. Steppe-Eneolithic, 22.8%. Farmers Balkans Neolithic, 19%. Farmers Iberian Neolithic, 17.2%. East Africa, 12.4%. East Asia Neolithic, 9.6%. Southeast Asia, 6.2%. Iran Pastoralist Neolithic, 4.6%. Right. And I'm going to just slowly scroll up on these samples so you can read them for yourself. I'll even zoom in for y'all so it's make sure you can read it. This is a Czech bell beaker sample. What I did notice is it's very similar to the results they did in the Excel spreadsheet, which I'll show some of the samples from the Excel spreadsheet. But the main thing that I've seen in this is that they all had a farmer's Balkan or Barsan, the Northwest Turkish Iberian farmer, like Neolithic amongst them. And Levantine also, Natufian also. Greece Mycenaean. Farmers Barsan, Neolithic, 43.8%. All right, this is Iran Hassanalu, Iron Age, and Steppe Neolithic, 20.6%. Farmers Balkans Neolithic, 18%. Iran Pastoralist Neolithic, 14.8%. East Asian Neolithic, 10.6%. Levant Neolithic, 9%. East Africa, 8%. It's crazy. And see, the problem is with this study is that they only use 4 samples. All right, this is a Levant pre-potty Neolithic Chalcolithic, if I'm not mistaken. 1 second. Is if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. All right. As we can see that this individual had Levant Neolithic, so Natufian culture, 36.8%. Farmers Balkans Neolithic, 13.6%. East Asian Neolithic, 11.4%. Hunters East Hunter Gatherer, 7.4%. Southeast Asia, 7%. Jardivian Bronze Age, 5.8%. Ibero-Mauritian, 5.6%. East Africa, 5.4%. Southeast Africa, 3%. Hunters on South Hunter Gatherer, 2.8%. Right? It's Levant late bronze, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, it's Lebanon, my bad. It's Lebanon. I think this is a medieval sample. We see, and he had pale skin, this individual. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna verify that this is correct. So SI. Sidon. So Lebanon Middle Ages. Belong to Hobble Group R-P319 or 312. Maternal DNA H536. Now this Russian sample was interesting. So steppe, Neolithic, Levant Neolithic. So steppe 37.4%, Levant Neolithic 12%, Hunters West Siberia Neolithic 11.2%, Southeast Asia 11%, Hunters South Hunter Gatherer 9.6%, East Africa 8.4%, Ibero-Mauritian 5.4%. East Asian Neolithic 2.2%. So it's interesting that this individual had a lot of Levant Neolithic population admixture amongst them. So this is Aegean sample. Farmers Balkans Neolithic 29.2%, steppe Neolithic 23.6%. East Asia Neolithic 12.4%, East Africa 12%, Southeast Asia 8.4%, Iran Pastoralist Neolithic 7.4%. Very similar. Again, very similar. This one had a farmer's Barson Neolithic 32.2%, steppe Neolithic 16.4%, East Asia Neolithic 10.8%, East Africa 10.4%, Iran Pastoralist Neolithic 8.4%, Hunters Caucasus Hunter Gatherer 5.8%, Southeast Asia 4.8%, Hunters South Hunter Gatherer 2.2%. All right, Black Sea sample. Our Farmers Balkans Neolithic 23.4%, steppe Neolithic 15%, Farmers Barson Neolithic 11%, East Asian Neolithic 10%, Iran Pastoralist Neolithic 9.6%, Southeast Asia 9%, East Africa 8.6%, Hunters South Hunter Gatherer 3.2%, Southeast Africa 2.6%. So the biggest thing is all these samples that had pale skin, they had a farmer's source amongst them. Very important. All right. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead and choose one so I can show you exactly. I'll do this Levant pre-pod Neolithic. So that sample number or ID is I1699. All right, so what we're gonna do is search. All right, so you gotta highlight it. Make sure y'all seeing the screen. Cool. Scroll all the way over. We see that this sample was found in Jordan, right? See, this individual is pale on skin pigmentation. All right. Let's see. Do another one. Show you this one. Mycenaean 9010. I'll start with this, but you can see the admixture proportions that they had. And so, like I said, is that they only did with these select samples, so it's 5 samples. So it's Caucasus hunter-gatherer, East hunter-gatherer, Levant pre-Proto Neolithic, Serbia Iron Gates hunter-gatherers, Turk, Marmara, Barsan Neolithic, right? And we see that they had this, and that's a farmer's admixture, right? We see it's the highest on this individual. We see the skin pigmentation is pale. Right? I want to get one of these other samples. All right. I11270. And again, this is the highest one right here. This one's the highest one, right? That Barson, that farmer's sample, right? Roller pale. Skin pigmentation pale. Belong to hobble group G2A2A or G-PF3147. All right. All right. And I'll show you exactly where you can download this from. All right. So if you go to the Southern Arc source, all right, you can go to the Southern Arc. All right, the genetic history of the Southern Arc, a bridge between West Asia and Europe. You're going to scroll all the way down to the Supplementary Materials. Or you can just search. You're going to download this, or this one actually. Download data S1 to S5. Basically, if I remember correctly, you're going to get a zip. You're going to run your little system to unzip it to get the folder, and it's going to be found in S5. So, yeah, pretty much. And as you can see, this recommended is going to pop up. This is the article to the right, a genetic probe into the ancient and medieval history of the southern Europe and West Asia. And real quick before I let y'all go on this video, I want to show y'all exactly how old this last individual was. Because I heard a debate today, or if you can call it a debate, or whatever you want to say it was, right? They were arguing how old pale skin was and whatnot, and it's like neither party had a good argument because they were not using science. They were not using the most recent research, right, to base their argument. All their argument was baseless. It was based off of look genetics. Like it's based off of just looking at statues and depictions and say, oh look, this person had a wide nose and face was like this, face was like that, and it's like, bro, what are y'all talking about? But anyways, you can see these samples are old samples, 7,743 years old. I mean, it's ridiculous. This sample is 7,503 years old. So this is the closest sample to the sample that I just showed y'all. And as you can clearly tell, this individual was during the Chalcolithic period, right? And there's samples that's from the Neolithic period and they had pale skin. So the concept that oh, pale skin wasn't in the Neolithic time is incorrect. Who's ever teaching you that pseudoscience, tell them to go on with that nonsense. You don't need me. You don't need me to listen to them. Do your own research. The science is out there, genetics. So don't worry about stuff like that. Do your own research. If they refuse to accept this, then they're pseudo. So just leave it at that. You know, that's plain and simple. Um, Yep, that's gonna do it. So go ahead and leave it to the article title name. Oh, I'm gonna show you how. I think that's it. Yeah, that's good. But you know, if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe. Um, you know, I enjoy feedback, and long as it's positive. Now, some feedback is just ridiculous sometimes, but very ignorant, especially when people don't make any videos or not willing to come on to talk to me or have a dialogue. So, but yeah, just please leave me feedback, you know. All right. This has been Biblical DNA. I'm out.